Welcome to Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Kenya.
So today we are going to be talking about a subject that is a little touchy for me. I think it's a little touchy for you. But we are going to discuss today accountability. That's the word that has been actually my word for this entire year is accountability. Accountability for me is extremely important.
Yes.
It's almost a deal breaker for me when, I saw your face, when you are not accountable for something. And I'm really excited to get into this. When you think about accountability, what are you thinking about?
Why is it so hard for people to take accountability?
Okay.
That's my very first thought.
Okay. So my thought would be, that's one of my thoughts, the same thing. I'm also running through my mind, when are you going to begin to take accountability?
Okay.
When someone has brought something to your attention that you know that you're wrong, when are you going, but it keeps happening over and over and over again, and I think we're probably going to hit that a little bit later on too, but when are you going to say, all right, it's up. I got to start taking accountability for my actions. You can't just continue to gloss over stuff or pretend like things haven't happened. So when you know that you are right and you're right and you're right about something, right?
Yes.
You even got some receipts to go along with it. But that person still will not take accountability for their actions. How does it make you feel?
Anger is the first thing I feel, because I just always, well, I can't say always, but once I got to a space where I am so apologetic, sometimes I think I do it too much. And the feeling that comes with it, how freeing it was, I'm like, why don't people want to do this?
Right.
And I remember those times when I was that person that didn't take accountability for anything. It was just, that was my defense. I'm going to get you before you get me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. But I just don't, I don't understand, especially, it bothers me more when it's older people and they are just so decided that they are right. They can't hear anything else.
Okay. Because are you thinking, because what's going through my mind is you're at a certain age to where you should be comfortable enough to say, I'm sorry.
That's exactly.
This is what I've done. First of all, let's acknowledge it.
Yes.
But that person should be at that age to say, you know what? Number one, I've lived a long time.
Yes.
So, and I know better. I know better, so let me do better.
Absolutely.
I don't want to give them a pass.
I don't either, and it's hard for me to let go of it. And it's sometimes it gets to the point where my husband says, well, don't be argumentative. And I'm like, it's not argumentative. It's people taking account of what they have done.
Right.
People have to understand that if I inflict pain on you, you don't make me aware of it. I don't care how it makes you feel. I'm going to do it again. It may be the same speech.
Yeah.
It may be a different TED Talk. I don't know. But it's going to happen again.
It will happen. Because it's shown to have history continue to repeat itself.
Absolutely. I
really believe that if people are not held accountable, that behavior is going to snowball. And honestly, I think it even gets worse. Because then it's almost like you feel entitled to continue. Are you okay?
Yes.
That you feel entitled to continue that bad behavior. And honestly, I don't know why. And okay, so let's just back up to what I said before. First of all, when you know that you've hurt someone's feelings or you've done something that's wrong, there is no shame in saying, hey, this is what I did.
Right.
If I've said something to you and you brought it to my attention, hey, I didn't like what you said to me, and you said that it was, it was very rude when you said it. And I didn't appreciate what you said. You hurt me. And then you say, I didn't do that. What do you mean? I just told you what you did to me. Yes, you did do it. But I'm giving you the whole scenario of what happened. So yes, you then should acknowledge how I feel. You should acknowledge not even just how I feel, but acknowledge that you was mean to me.
Yes. And that's the thing. You can't tell me how to feel about what you did to me.
Right.
I have to express to you how that made me feel.
Right.
You have to just acknowledge, even if you don't care, pretend to care at least.
At least show me something. Show me some type of an emotion.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after it's acknowledged, right? Then what's the next step? I apologize.
Is that even a word that people are familiar with?
I'm sorry. It's oh my goodness, those are two words that are not going to take you out if you say those things. Do you know? But honestly, to me, that's a whole thing with pride.
It absolutely is.
When you cannot acknowledge what you've done to someone, and then you can't apologize for what you've done or what you said to them, how you offended them, whatever the case may be. But if you can't do to me, that's bare minimum.
Absolutely.
That's a whole thing with pride. And we know that that's sinful.
Yep.
Pride is extremely sinful.
It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Oh, good Lord. It is very, very dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just say, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
And let me take it even a step further. Even if you meant to say it, you can still apologize and say, you know what? Maybe the way that I said it, not even maybe the way I said it, the way that I said it, I could have done things a little bit differently. I could have reworded it so it was not offensive.
You really made me think of something. I remember a situation that was at work. And it's when I was a supervisor, and I remember this lady, she would always think she could talk her way out of something. And I always look like, I have children, this don't work with me. You're not as smart as you think you are. And I remember an email I sent, and she said, Lieutenant, you hurt my feelings. I said, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I meant what I said. So even in that, she couldn't understand those words. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I meant what I said. Because sometimes people can't apologize for that pride because I just want to be right. I just get to be right. And you arguing a point that's never going to be considered because just because you think you're right does not mean that situation was right.
Correct. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay, so then let's go to the next step. So after we have apologized, right? In a perfect world, we should be acknowledging, we should be apologizing. Then what's the next step after that? If it's really, truly, sincerely in your heart, repent for what you did.
Ooh.
And why do I say repent? So it doesn't happen again.
Okay, so now we're working.
Exactly. Purpose in your heart to not do those things anymore. It's not that, it's really, really not that hard to do.
It really isn't.
It really isn't. And the reason I say it's not that hard to do is if you have a want to spirit.
That may be the problem.
That might be a problem. You gotta have that. I'm not gonna say you gotta have. It would be nice if we had that spirit to say, I want to do better. I want to be able to acknowledge someone's. I want to be able to see where I'm wrong. But that's where pride steps in. If we're not able to see where we've messed up, where we've hurt someone, we can't even acknowledge that part.
No.
But do you realize how much turmoil and chaos can be taken off the table if we just did some of those things? But first, let me take you here too. What if we thought about it first before we let those words come out of our mouth?
Ooh.
instead of just boom. You just had a knee-jerk reaction and just say whatever you feel like saying.
We may not have to do as much apologizing.
Exactly.
If we would do that, but most of the time, our emotions, we are not in control of our emotions as much as we think we are.
Right.
But the thing is, we have to be able to, this is the thing that I think about now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to consider other people before I consider me.
Okay.
So that is what filters
Mm-hmm.
my words now, because I'm like, I may hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit more apologetic, but I'm a little bit more cautious as well.
Right.
Because I know me.
Mm-hmm.
I know my emotions. Once they are out there, they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know that, I know I have to make sure that I'm not letting that control me.
Yeah.
And I'm controlling them.
Yeah.
So I'm able to put that filter on there.
Yeah.
But we gotta take responsibility.
Correct.
That we're just not always right.
No, we're not always right.
And we can't just say what we want to say to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay.
Another thing to that, we can't justify it because your facial expressions are killing me today. Because I know what you're thinking. I know it. I know what you're thinking. But we cannot justify.
No.
If we offend someone, we hurt someone, and we can't go back and say, well, they did that to me,
Yeah.
so I got them back. You don't get to get your lick back, okay? You don't get to do that.
No.
Because what we've talked about before, a bad reaction, a bad action doesn't constitute a bad reaction,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that also helps us to exercise our free will.
Yes.
And how we respond to people. Because honestly, and it could go kind of probably either way.
Yeah.
Because if someone says something bad to you, right? And you just have like a look on your face to where it's like, I'm not gonna let this bother me. Somebody's gonna, they may be say, well, she thinks she's smart. She thinks she's slick. No, I don't think, I'm just trying to remain zen. I'm just trying to remain calm. I don't want to get upset because I don't want these things to escalate. It doesn't always mean that you're being rude or that you're, being condescending or smart or anything like that. Nothing negative. But it's just your way sometimes of saying, you know what, hey, let me just bring this down.
Yeah.
But people that may be confrontational in a bad way, they don't want to hear that part.
Or see that. They want an instant reaction.
They want an instant reaction. And then what happens? Stuff can be blown out of proportion, completely wrong, and then the whole situation just goes left.
Yeah.
But then we still got to bring it back to being accountable for your actions.
Yes.
You still can't do that.
You still can't do it. And I think sometimes people think the position or title they hold allots them a little bit more leeway. And it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you're still just rude.
Exactly. But oh gosh, it's just so many different things with that whole factor. Just that word, accountability.
Yes.
I would hope that in, I can't even say a perfect world, because we're never going to live in a perfect world. It's just not going to happen. But in a world where we have to exist with other people, that we can become more conscious and cautious of the things that we say and the things that we do. But it bugs me. I'm just going to tell you, it really grinds my gears when we cannot be accountable for our actions. We just don't have permission to hurt other people on purpose.
Yes.
And then not acknowledge how they feel. Because then, I'm sorry, but you don't know what somebody's headspace is either.
Right.
What were you going to say?
But then they don't get to decide what that looks like.
Okay.
That person has to tell you, you hurt my feelings. I don't care if it was intentional or unintentional. You hurt my feelings. You have to acknowledge how it made me feel. But you don't get to decide how or what part of it that I consider what hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
You don't get to do that. And people just feel like there's no consequences. when they offend you, there's no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of gloss over like, oh no, it wasn't that. Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So when you come across someone, just in general,
Mm-hmm.
what is your first reaction when someone, and I don't want you to give anything away, I don't want you to put anybody on, but what's like one of your first reactions when someone does not take accountability?
The first thing I do is pause, and I try to run it back through my mind because I'm like, did they just say that to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna say, no, you can't speak to me like that.
Okay.
And the first thing, oh, this is the part that burns me up. What do you mean? Exactly what I said.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people have just been so careless with their words
Yes.
for so long.
Yes.
They think their general conversation in response to other people
Mhm.
goes for all people, and it
No.
doesn't.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't. So that's my first. I try to pause so I don't react in the wrong way.
And that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And don't always take, because I've learned to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been times where I've come back, probably even within the last year, with a couple people, and came back real quick with something.
Yeah.
And I said, ooh,
Yeah, I can't do that.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But then again, I should have said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But maybe I just shouldn't have said it that way. Because it just, you know, but sometimes things catch you off guard.
Right.
You know?
Right.
When I hear people not taking accountability for
Mhm.
stuff, and I have to take that pause.
Yeah.
Even when I hear it like in general conversation, and especially when I hear, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you did it.
I mean, really. If
I
it
know
would've
for
been
sure
just
that you
recorded.
did it. Or when they say, I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now we done had a whole
And I told you
conversation.
3 times.
Yes.
During the conversation, I told you,
Yeah.
you just can't hear it because you want to be right.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
why.
But we cannot be right all the
Impossible.
time.
Impossible.
You cannot be right all the time.
Mhm.
And let me tell you something else too. Even when you bring the proof,
Mm.
maybe it's through a text message, maybe it's through email,
Yeah.
maybe it's something else that somebody in a different room heard you say and say, hold on, no, you didn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
You said this and then you said it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I didn't mean it like that.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Well, how did you mean it?
And
Because-
follow up with that. Yeah.
Because what you said that's come out of your mouth or on this text message,
Mm-hmm.
your actions, something completely different.
Yeah.
And if someone has brought that to you,
Mm-hmm.
simply say, and it's so easy to say this, that wasn't my intention.
Right.
I shouldn't have said it that way.
And even acknowledging that,
Yeah,
you may not even have to render an apology.
exactly.
We could leave it right. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
But then that also puts them on notice. Don't play with me like that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try that again.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try it again.
I mean, I've even said to people, did it offend you
Mm-hmm.
when I said this?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yeah.
Yep.
And I said, okay, I apologize for offending you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no harm in doing that. And
Right.
honestly, I feel released.
Yeah.
Because you can't hold those things over me.
Yeah.
I am more than willing to apologize. And I guess because maybe even where I am in my life right now
Mm-hmm.
and my walk, it's easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I'm okay with releasing it because I'm secure and comfortable with who I am.
Yeah.
I know who I am. And not only, and let me tell you something else that I said before, was before I speak, and I'll say, if I can't say it in front of Jesus, I better not say it.
That's a good filter.
That's a real good filter right there. And if I can't say it or do it in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. And I'm just talking about like in physical form because we know that
Absolutely.
God is
Everything.
everywhere
Mm-hmm.
at all times. So he already knows.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking it would just make me pause
Mhm.
probably a little bit longer and say, you know what, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
before you let that come out of your mouth, or before you hurt another one of my children, you need to be quiet for a minute. Don't let that. Think of something else to say. Let me help you. Let me help you a different way.
You can beat it before you say.
But but that happens though when you take that pause. And you say, okay, hold on. Give me a minute. Let me think about it, because I don't want to hurt your feelings, or I don't want to say things that possibly are going to make us fall out. So just give me a minute. Oh gosh. Okay. So we are going to take a pause here. We are going to come back with the point of how do we get over someone that has offended us and that will not take accountability. We're going to discuss some of the steps that we need to take so that if we fall off track, that we can get back on the right track again. So please share the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you know when Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn comes on, which premieres every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. So until next time, have a great day.